right.
Hey everyone, today I am here with Akil Stokes, who is a trading coach at Tier 1 Trading. From what I understand, you started trading in 2007. You're a track and field coach, and I'm sure we're going to learn a lot about you. So maybe I might start off just throwing it back to you. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself, a bit of an introduction, and I got some cool questions for you today.
Sure. I'll try to give you the shortest, most condensed version as possible. I tend to ramble on, but I got started in the financial markets back in 2007, right after I graduated college. So I graduated at the time of the Great Recession here in the US. And basically I graduated, there were no jobs available. So I decided to go to grad school for 2 more years, just kind of buy time and give the answers to, all the family members asking, what are you doing with your lives? What are you working? All that fun stuff. And I got into the financial markets really because it was the next step in understanding money. I was very fortunate, and I realized that more than ever now, that my dad did a good job of just keeping me financially educated. So as a kid, we had a savings account and, checkings account and stuff like that. He taught me how interest works back when you got interest from having money in the bank. And as I grew older, it changed into certificates of deposits and money market accounts. So after I graduated, he was like, hey, the next step, I had some bonds as well that he had bought for me that I couldn't touch until I graduated college. He said, the next step is to, get into investing. So that's what kind of sparked my interest. At the same time, I was dating my now wife, then girlfriend, and she had a grandfather figure who I later found out was this really good investor in the markets and real estate. And he basically brought me in to vet me. Things were getting serious between me and the wife. And he, had to ask me the hard questions to make sure
that's what he was looking for. He didn't care about what you were like as a person. He just wanted to make sure you were a good trader. And then you could take it.
So, when I found out that he was an investor as well, I flocked to it. I had nothing better to do because I was unemployed. And I just kind of sat in and followed and absorbed what he was doing, kind of like a fly on the wall. And I started dipping my foot in. I had an interest in it. I had, even though I didn't really know what I was doing back then, I had some skill. And eventually I discovered that, hey, this is something that I like. I like the puzzle. I like the game. Obviously, it's a way to make money and achieve freedom of time, which is my goal. And I started getting more serious. And, I started with stocks. I did well in stocks, but I just didn't have enough money to really make any serious money in stocks. And I kind of got sucked into the trap. I went to penny stocks because everyone was talking about that, get rich quick. And I failed miserably at penny stocks. I had a friend of mine that told me about Forex. I got into that thinking the same thing, failed miserably. But I always had a passion for it. So I decided to kind of buckle down, learn the right way, and fast forward some years and many struggles ahead, turn myself into a consistently profitable trader with lots of help. And now I coach others and hopefully help them do the same.
Very cool. Amazing story. So it sounds like your mentors were more family based.
Yeah, well, initially, yes. So initially my father and he kind of like a grandfather-in-law, they got me into it. I did end up getting a trading mentor specifically. I tried for a long time by myself, and that's kind of been my thing in life. I've always been a hard worker, and I'm kind of just like, just work harder than everyone else and keep working at it and you get the results. And sure. Trading wasn't necessarily the same. I kept working and doing the wrong things, and I kept losing money. And eventually I had to kind of, I don't want to call it ego, but put my pride aside and accept that I needed help. And, fortunately I was able to meet 2 really good mentors before I didn't get sucked into any of the scammy stuff that it's out there. And I bumped heads with them a little bit. I still want to be stubborn, but eventually I learned my lesson, followed their guidance, and it worked, right? Cool. Believe it or not.
Amazing. And the strategies that you learned with your father and grandfather-in-law, are those the same kind of strategies that you still trade now, or did you kind of flip it up a little bit to make it more suitable for your trading style?
So completely different, more fundamentally driven in the stock market that my grandfather-in-law taught me. And he was more of a kind of really old school. Like we used to go drive out to different places and look at how many people were in the parking lot and go into the store and look at how much, how much quantity of materials they had and stuff like that, and more of a common sense investor. We weren't necessarily digging into financial sheets or anything like that. We were kind of putting two and two together. When I went to Forex specifically, and I guess penny stocks as well, and became more of a trader versus a longer term investor, I went from fundamental analysis to technical analysis, and which was a completely brand new world. So what I do now is 90% technical. I'd say there's a little bit of fundamentals in there as well, but 90% technical, where back then I didn't know what a chart was aside from it telling me what the price was.
Sure. So I'm the same as you. I'm mostly TA all the way, baby.
Yep. I would say 95%. I'm being generous with 90.
I'm not saying it's the only way. I'm sure you're not saying that as well, but it's how a lot of the people that I'm interviewing trade, how a lot of our clients trade, a lot of the guys in the office trade. So yeah, definitely. We can talk about that further maybe later on. We'll see how we go. And how about your kids these days? Are you teaching them about trading?
Not yet. My oldest is 6. My youngest is 2. So teaching him about money, or trying to. My oldest still wants to spend it as soon as he gets it. But teaching him about money. I'll definitely teach him about the financial markets. I don't know about trading specifically, but I'll teach him about investing, how money works, compounding, and stuff like that. That's a definite. I'm just a firm believer, and it seems like it's the same everywhere across the world, that we're just not teaching that to people in school, and we're getting generations of adults now that don't really know how money works, and that's causing some massive problems.
Yeah, I mean, I only really started to learn how money works at probably age 30 to 32. I think I started to actually really look into it, see how the Fed started, and it's just one of those things they should be teaching it in school, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've got all conspiracy theory ideas on why they don't, but
true. Okay, I feel you. He's now almost 5, but when his first word when he's probably about 1 was Bitcoin. So there you
go. Let's see, 5 years ago. Hey, you know what?
Yeah, but it's really cool. Go on.
No, that's it.
I was gonna say it's so cool, like seeing him develop, and he's in school now, and he's starting to do numbers in his head, and just like constantly asks me, what's awesome. 1 plus this or whatever it is, and I don't know how to answer him, and it's really awkward. No, I'm kidding.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
So from what I understand, you're a pretty competitive dude. I want to hear more about the kind of, is it track and field work that you do, or some sort of sport that you really are you still doing that? How does that impact your trading? That competitive nature, I'd love to hear more about that.
So I've been an athlete since 4 years old. Basically played sports nonstop from 4 to even technically now, but stopped being super competitive when I graduated college. But I went on to coach track and field. So something I did after I graduated is I went to grad school, and there was a position open where hey, if I helped coach, they'd help pay for grad school. So I did it. Firstly, just for the money. But I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the coaching. Obviously, it keeps me in sports, but it gives me a chance to impact people at a very interesting age, 18-year-olds to 21-year-olds. They're going through all types of weird stuff. So it gives me a chance to have an impact on them from many levels. And I love it. And plus I'm a super competitor. So it's the closest I can get to still competing. And, I think trading, investing, even business in general is the same way. And I think the psychological elements are very similar. And we see a lot of athletes, we see a lot of military members, or any type of trade where you have to be disciplined. We see them really excel at trading. And I think we understand the work and effort that needs to go into something in order to have success. We understand that it doesn't come overnight. We also understand the ability to follow instructions, whether it's instructions from a mentor or a coach, or whether it's our own instructions. I think that's the biggest part of trading is trading psychology, and people just can't do what they're supposed to do. And I know many times as an athlete, I've sat there and the coach has given me something. I'm like, I don't want to do that, but you have to, because that's the coach. Your job is to follow the rules. And I think that's had a massive impact just on my ability to kind of fight those psychological demons and not do what I want, rather do what I'm supposed to. And that's helped me massively in trading, obviously.
Are there any kind of pitfalls, do you think, to be aware of if you're a very hyper competitive person when it comes to trading as well, on the flip side?
Yeah. The need to win. is tough. Most competitors want to win all the time. Trading, as you know, is something you're not going to win all the time. I think the hardest thing about trading is that you can do everything right and still be wrong. And a lot of the athletes I work with now, a lot of the kind of the really competitive ones, the ones that are, coach me, always want to get better, something they'll do is like, whenever we're done a rep or a set or a race, they'll come to me and say, hey, what did I do wrong? What can I do better? Right? There's that need and desire to improve. And that's key in trading. That's a brilliant skill. However, on the downside, like, again, sometimes you can do everything right. You can still be wrong. And that's hard for some people to understand. Like, wait, how can I be right, but I lost money? It doesn't make sense. And then the mind starts thinking in different ways. I got to do something else. And then that leads you down a potentially a dark place. So I think that is the negative of being super competitive. It's hard to accept and really give up control. And in order to be a successful trader, I believe that, we have to understand that the market's going to do what it wants, when it wants to, whenever it wants to. We're just here for the ride, and we can be as good as we want to be. But it's not going to affect what the market does. And we have to trust that we're playing a game of probabilities and risk management, meaning we want the probabilities to be in our favor. We want to manage our risks so we can survive until the next hot streak comes. And that can be tough for a competitor who wants to win all the time.
That's it. Just pretty much getting a decent strategy in place that works for you, some risk-adjusted trades on, and some good risk to reward on them. So you're winning more than you're losing, and then Bob's your uncle. I mean, it sounds super simple, right?
There we go.
But in actuality, any of the guys that you coach on the track become traders, or vice versa?
Yeah, I just spoke to a guy a few weeks ago. I coached him a long time ago. He's I think he's an options trader. I just talked to him the other day because he was struggling. Same conversation as we just had, where he's like, man, I'm in this funk. I've been on this losing streak. I don't know what to do. And we kind of broke it down, and it ended up he started not following his rules, bailing on trades too early. He's like, I'm doing the right thing. I come back and they do what I thought they were going to do, but I messed up. So we got one. We have a few others that are interested in it. I don't know if they're actually seriously pursuing it, but we got a couple people that, if not trading, at least investing. A lot of them have questions when I teach them. Hey, we always see you on the internet doing this thing, coach. And can you tell me a little bit more about that? So it's cool that, again, a lot of the athletes I coach are interested in kind of just learning about the financial markets, even if they're not going to be active traders. Very
cool. Have you heard of Clubhouse before?
I've heard of it. Yes, I'm not a part of it, but I've heard of it.
Sure. I was big in it a while ago.
Audio only, right?
Yeah, it's like you kind of drop into different chats, and there's a stage up there and people are talking about different things. I met some really cool traders over there. There's a couple of very active Forex communities. And I've never really spoken in the past to American traders because we can't take Americans on at Global Prime due to the American regulations. But I found it super, it is what it is. But I found it super interesting that a lot of the traders that I met on Clubhouse that were American had really good understanding of risk management, and were kind of going down the journey of trading in the way that you're talking, where it's all kind of performance mindset and getting everything in gear and making sure you follow your strategy and you're journaling your trades. I don't really see that as much rest of the world, which I found really interesting. Why do you think that is? If you have any insights, maybe?
I don't know. I would think the opposite. Given how Americans typically seem to be bigger ego and kind of go big or go home. So that's pretty cool to hear. I don't know why. I don't know.
I wonder maybe if it's because these are the guys who are actually, actively seeking education or mentorship and to learn. And because they were on that journey and they went to Clubhouse, and instead of listening to, God knows, some of the stuff I heard of it that was whack, but also some cool things as well. But they're out there trying to find some good Forex educators or whatever it is. So I found that really interesting. Do you use visualization a lot with your students on the track and on the charts?
On the track I do. On the charts, not necessarily. Well, visualization, but with the charts there. So not on the track, we'll do kind of, close your eyes, envision your best race, the smell, the taste, the feel, your perfect race, all that good stuff. On the charts with our traders, we do something similar, but our eyes aren't closed. We want to visualize, I guess, rehearse maybe is a better word, rehearse the trade opportunity as it comes. with a lot of the traders, especially the longer term ones, the setups are going to be potentially setting up way in advance. So you can look at something days in advance and automatically tell, if price gets this level, then this is an area I'm interested in. So we'll tell them that, instead of, waking up one day and seeing that price is there and palms are sweating and the heart's beating, you don't know what to do, you're in that panic, distress mode, visualize it, rehearse it in advance, right? Tell yourself, okay, well, we use the if then syntax, if this, then that, kind of like a programmer. Well, if price action gets to this level, okay, then I need to wait for this. And if I get that, then we wait for that, and kind of play it over and over in your head. That way, when it does come, not only are you ready to pounce, you're not going to miss the opportunity, but those nerves aren't there as much. There's always going to be nerves in taking live trades, as you guys know, but it's not going to be there as much because you've already, okay, I know exactly what I'm looking for. It did this, it did that. You're prepared for it. And I think that's a really important skill for anyone that kind of has the problem pulling the trigger.
Yeah. So no one's sitting there going like this and just like visualizing green candles.
No. I mean, I've spoken to a few that have done that. I got a few questions a couple of weeks ago about, meditation and Dr. I don't know if you know Dr. Brett Steenbarger.
I don't think so, but it's a cool name.
He's he's one of the leading trading psychologists over here in the US. Lots of books, The Daily Trading Coach, Trading Psychology 1.0, 2.0. Awesome dude. He'll probably do an interview if you ask, but he's one of the best that I know in trading psychology. And I think he just put out either a blog post or something. He's getting into kind of like the power of meditation and stuff like that. And a few of our traders that I work with are reading that. So they're asking me, and I'm like, well, I don't. I've got the shiny thing syndrome, so I'm a little hard for me to meditate in the traditional way. But a few of them were doing it. They're making like, I think 10 minutes or so before their trading day and sitting down and closing their eyes and visualizing their perfect day. And hey, if it works, man,
why not?
Light the candles. Hey, if it works, do it, man. Whatever gets the job done.
I reckon as well. I think meditation's amazing. I personally love going to float tanks. Have you heard of them before?
I have, yeah.
Have you been to one?
I have not. No, like it's
pretty cool.
I found my best meditation is I've tried different ways. For me, it's like kind of sort of physical fitness. So like I love like I cycle. So I go for like a long bike ride in the middle of nowhere. It's just like me, nature, and like music? My mind kind of sometimes not. Depends on the mood. Usually it starts with no music, and at the end when it starts to hurt a little bit, I got to get back home. That's where the music turns on. But I kind of just like I get away from life for a little bit, and I kind of find peace that way, little outer body experience. That's a different way for me, but that's getting away from the kids as well. That's how I do it.
Nice. I like that. Very cool. And we were talking a bit before about, hey, they want to come on camera.
You're in here.
Tell them come say hi.
You can't hear. That's my oldest right now.
Hello. What's your name? I don't know if you can hear me.
You said, what's your name?
Jaden.
What's up? Jaden?
Jaden. Yep. He's a 5-year-old.
Jaden, does he know what pips are?
Do you know what pips are?
No.
No? Do you know what Japanese candlesticks are?
No.
Bitcoin?
Bitcoin.
You heard of Bitcoin?
Bitcoin he knows, of course.
You've seen it on YouTube, crypto?
Huh?
Crypto? You know what money is?
Dogecoin?
Yeah, Dogecoin? Yeah, I said he had
Dogecoin. All my friends are buying Dogecoin.
Oh, there he goes. He knows what money is. He knows he can spend it. He can get Legos and candy.
There you go. I've seen photos of kids like.
No, I gotta finish the interview.
Okay.
I'll come and check on you though.
If you want to, you can swap out, and I'll just
no, that's
for the rest.
That's fine.
I've seen photos of kids at airports on their iPads looking at charts on TradingView.
Are you serious?
Yeah, man, like 5-year-olds. It's nuts.
Gosh.
So I was going to say before, do you use TradingView much in charting or anything?
I do. Yeah, I use NinjaTrader and TradingView. I find myself using TradingView more and more now.
Same.
Mainly because it's easy. It's web based. I do a lot of work on my laptop as well. If I'm on the road, so I don't have to worry about redrawing stuff. It's an amazing platform. It is.
So cool.
I was on the beta version of it when they first launched
back in the day.
Whatever year. Yeah, and it's so much better now than it was back then.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's a phenomenal company. They must have like hundreds of developers. Their uptime's amazing. We just actually integrated in there, so our clients
Okay,
can trade from
nice.
TradingView now.
That is
If
awesome.
you're in America, you're shit out of luck, but whatevs.
Yep, of course.
So I was going to say on TradingView, what I like to do, first of all, the alerts over there are amazing because you can just literally draw, like, even if you draw with a paintbrush, you can set an alert on that as well, I'm pretty sure anyway. And what I like to do is, because just to go back to what we were talking before about visualizing where a trade can go and if this, then that, is draw all the outcomes that could happen. If you've got like a bit of a bear flag, draw what it's like coming out of it. And I use kind of VPVR, which is the volume at price, to find like the next kind of zone that it could go to and draw it down to that zone. And then do another scenario going up or a ranging scenario. And you can kind of then start to think, different ways that it could go, which I find definitely helpful.
That is that's great. That is great.
And sometimes I go back to a chart that I forgot about and my squiggle will be like perfectly right, but obviously it's going to be because there's 3 options and one of them is what about traders that kind of, I find this is like my approach these days, is I went from being like a bit of a degenerate gambler, I reckon, when I first started off, and then started getting into, MT4 trading and indicator. I won't go through the whole journey, but especially in crypto in 2017, I made like 10 times my money. Then I lost it all in the bear market, just holding like a schmuck, for lack of a better word. And then this run up, I've been very, very cautious. I've done pretty good, but now I'm so cautious on my chips that I'm like almost like scared to take a trade, or I'm getting in and out like a lot quicker. I really don't want to lose anything because I've done all right. I don't want to, do what I did before. So luckily I actually got out of the highs for once in my life with this crash, and kind of waiting to see what's next. So yeah, for me, it's like capital preservation is my main thing. And I feel like I've got to take a step back and be like, okay, I got to get a bit of risk on at some point again.
Yep.
So what do you suggest to someone like me? I need some free coaching over here. Let's go.
Well, first of all, I think it's a good shift to go from kind of degenerate gambler to, risk averse. I think I think in the beginning, when people first start trading, it's all about making as much money as you can as quickly as possible. And then once you make it, or once you've had a few kind of oopsies, then it's like, okay, well, I made some, let's not lose it. And I think it's about finding that balance. It's about, I've done something similar in my trading career where I've gotten more aggressive yet conservative at the same time, where I trade less than I have, meaning I don't do as many, I don't look for as many signals or take as many strategies, something like that. But with my grade A trades, the trades that I want to get involved in, I've gotten a lot more aggressive in getting involved in them. So I've dialed back kind of the riskier trades and focus on only my best setups. But when I see those best setups, instead of kind of being very cautious and waiting for every signal in the world to get involved, when I see it, I'm getting involved at the first positive signal. And that's kind of balanced things out. So it's interesting. I'm having a good year this year, where usually I'm about a 55% trader. This year, I don't expect this to hold. I'm still at 70% for some good reason. And again, I don't trust it. I think I'll go, usually my ceiling is about 60. I think I'll fall back somewhere around there, but it'd be interesting to see, because I've been very, very cautious, but cautiously aggressive this year of, hey, maybe that's the main thing making the difference. Trading less, but more aggressive in what I trade. I think that's a good approach. Find your best setups, be aggressive at getting in them. The ones that are, either be more conservative before getting involved in them, or just let them go and save that capital for the best ones.
Yeah, I like that, because then you kind of know and you visualize already what your good trades are. So you hit them hard, but you still have a bit of skin in the game for when it's doing, stuff that's a bit outside of your strategy or whatever, just to feel like you're in it, but without going, all in. Take like a 0.1% risk trade or something. And
that's a good method. Trade bigger on your best setups. Trade bigger on your best ones. Trade smaller on your worst ones. Or not as good ones.
I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to grab a water while I come back for a second. What about people that get anxious before they put on a trade? What do you think about that? Give me 1 second.
Grab mine as well.
Yeah, sorry about that. People that get anxious before they place a trade, I'm guessing you might say, well, it just comes to really understanding your strategy. But is there any tips that you might have for people that feel anxious when they're about to place a trade?
Well, I think the first thing is understanding that it's normal. I think we
Sure.
all get anxious. I've been doing this for 13 years now, and although I take everything I'm supposed to take, it's still kind of like, whew, here we go. Let's do it, because you never know. We're venturing into the unknown on every given trade. I think the best solution to those who are feeling anxious is fully understanding what you're getting involved in. I think a lot of people get anxious or overly anxious when, let's say, they're risking more than they're comfortable with. Because now it's a big deal. Like if you lose, oh my gosh, I can't afford to lose this. It's gambling. I put the mortgage onto the table and let's see what happens. If you're trading
hope you
small,
don't do that. Don't ever do that, right?
don't do that. Although this year, man, we've seen. I've heard stories of home equity loans buying GameStop. I've heard some rough ones out there.
Scary stuff.
But yeah, if you fully understand the trade, I think it's a confidence thing more than anything. First, it's accepting the risk. Knowing that your risk is acceptable. It's should be at least small enough that it's not going to hurt you. If you're getting hurt or emotional off of the amount you lose on a trade, or even the amount you win, you're trading too big. So, trade smaller to the point where it's like, loss, it sucks, but it doesn't really make a difference in my life. Fully understanding your trade. You fully trust yourself. If you fully trust your trading strategy, your trade plan, then there's no need to be anxious. You should be, you should be wanting to take this trade. It shouldn't be anxious in a negative way to rush into it or miss out on it. It should just be you're following your rules, right? You're doing your job. This is what you're supposed to do. When this happens on the chart, you push the button, outcomes out of your hand, you're looking bigger picture. And I think that's something that's helped me is I don't care. I care very little about any given trade. I'd be lying if I said I didn't care. I want every trade to win, of course, but I understand that, the trade I take today is not going to make or break my year. It's not going to make or break my month, right? It's going to be the accumulation of all the trades I take throughout the year. And I know that if I take good trades, if I follow my plan, if I do what I'm supposed to do, I play out my edge, then at the end of the year, my return on investment is going to be where it needs to be. So that kind of takes the pressure off the individual trade.
So it sounds like it's all
losing streaks, but
yeah, of course, it'll get you. Just like a business, no one ever has just constant up, unless you're Amazon or whatever. So anyway. So it sounds like it's all logic and zero emotion.
Well, it's. I used to think I was emotionless. We are human beings. We have emotions. I do lack empathy, which is a personal issue I'm trying to get better with.
Sure.
But I'm still emotional. I just don't act on my emotions. That's the biggest thing. So I still feel fear. I still feel greed. I still, envy, right? Someone's, crypto. I'm not into crypto, but I got a lot of friends that are into crypto and they're text messaging me every single day. And it's like, damn it, like, ooh, shit. But I don't let it affect my decision making, and that's the biggest thing. I have that separation, whereas I can be emotional, but I don't let it dictate my decision. I'll just whine and moan to someone else about it.
Very cool. Well, I'm always happy to be a sounding board.
There we go.
And how about practice in trading? So, I always wonder, at what point should a trader that's either just starting out or they've got their mentor or whatever. I'm guessing a mentor can actually say, okay, now you're ready to push the button. But say a trader's kind of pursuing it on their own and they've worked out a few things. How long should someone practice for? Is there like an average, do you think? And when should you actually start going live? And can you keep practicing while you're live? Is that a thing as well?
Yeah. I think you should keep practicing as you're going live. I think one of the biggest things out there is, I think it's hard to become successful. It's even harder to stay successful. And I think in the markets, we're always changing. I mean, the last couple of years going from the Trump administration all to COVID, I mean, we've seen market conditions that are they're different than they've ever been. And I think it's foolish, and I learned this the hard way as well, to think that what you're trading now is gonna give the same results or react the exact same way 5 years from now. So there should always be a little bit of a fear that things are going to change. And if I'm not keeping up with the markets and constantly practicing and evaluating my system and adapting to the different conditions, then I'm going to fall behind. So I think you should always be practicing. It's a way to stay sharp. I think before trading live, I think a trader should go through, I'm going to say 3 steps. I may name more, but obviously you should learn how to trade first and foremost. I believe in starting at the foundational elements. Don't go out there just looking for a strategy. If you're going to be a technical analyst, a chartist, right? learn how to read a chart, right? Learn how to read a candlestick, learn how to read a price chart. I used to call myself a trend continuation trader a long time ago. And someone asked me one day, hey, euro dollar, what trend are we in? And I couldn't answer the question. And I realized I had no idea how to read a chart. I just knew a strategy. So understanding how to read a price chart is one. After you understand how to read a price chart, it's strategy development, where it's either finding a strategy and tweaking it to fit kind of your lifestyle, creating your own, what have you, but finding something that has edge, right? And that has, the probabilities are in your favor. After that's going to be demo trading, right? Demo trading / back testing, where you're looking through historical data and proving that your strategy does have an edge and seeing how it performs through different market conditions. Demo trading, right? Practicing to see if you can achieve what you did in back testing in the live markets. And there's a massive difference between looking historically through a chart. TradingView is a great replay feature, but still you can always replay through and then be like, oh, I missed it, go back.
Yeah.
Live trading, you don't have that, or especially if you're a day trader, the speed, you got to make sure you know how to get orders on, set your alerts, all that in real time, and that's
manage the emotions as well.
Exactly, yeah, that's a learning curve. And then lastly, I think when you trade live, you should kind of treat yourself like you're your own prop firm, right? Where if you have, let's say, $10,000 you plan on starting live with, don't just go in with all 10,000 right away, right? Give yourself maybe 2,000. Say, I'm gonna have 2,000 for the first 3 months. If I do what I'm supposed to do for the first 3 months, I'll reward myself with another, 3,000, and slowly build yourself up to your maximum account. And that's an easier way to really manage the emotions and manage your capital, because theoretically, the beginning stages of your live trading are probably going to be the most difficult, where you're making the most mistakes. So you want to do that with the least amount on the line. And as you get kind of sharpened, now you're allowing yourself to trade more capital.
It's very good advice. And just to continue on with that as well, I think you maybe reached a turning point at one point in your trading where you started focusing on reducing the number of mistakes that you made in the month.
Yeah.
And is that something you still recommend to traders? Can you tell us a bit about what that was like for you?
Yeah, that was the turning. That's what saved my trading. I was literally dusting off resumes, right? So when I started trading, I quit 3 jobs, right? I quit 3 jobs to focus on trading because I thought I'd be this millionaire trader in like 2 months, because that's what the internet told me. Now I gave myself a year, just I'm not stupid financially. I gave myself a year, kind of like a nest egg, to make it, but I thought like 2 months I'll be good. And I wasn't, and I was getting to the end of a period where like the money was drying up, and I was living a minimalistic lifestyle, and I was going to go back to the 3 jobs. I was working working in the school system with kids that had mental and behavioral health concerns. I was coaching track, and then I was a janitor at night, so I was cleaning like toilets and banks and stuff like that. It wasn't ideal.
Well, at least you were in the financial system.
Yeah. There we go. And so I had given up hope, essentially, and I'd given up hope. And I remember it had to be later in the year, and I was doing kind of a year-end review. And at this time, I was ignoring everything my coaches and mentors were telling me, right? They're telling me, oh, discipline, mistakes, trading psychology. I was like, yeah, whatever. Like, just, find the strategy that works. And I went back, I reviewed my trades, and I reviewed how they should be if I did everything I was supposed to do correctly, and then how they were. And I saw that, man, like if I would have done what I was supposed to do, I would have been profitable instead of negative. And I started counting mistakes, and I was making like 1 million mistakes. So I made myself, I kind of made a deal with myself. I said, hey, Akil, you're going to no longer focus on P&L, because I'd given up hopes on being successful. You're just going to focus on eliminating mistakes, and you're going to prove to your mentor that all this stuff is rubbish, right? You're going to he told you be disciplined, and I'm going to do it and still lose money and prove him wrong. So I said, hey, if I'm making 30 mistakes in January, next month, I just want to make 29, at least 1 less per month. And I started doing that. I started focusing on the process. And the funniest thing happened. It had to be, I think it was around maybe April. So I got the email from my broker, and I'm used to it being like, parentheses and the negatives, and it was positive. And I remember emailing my broker back. I'm like, hey, you sent me the wrong statement. And he's like, no, this is yours. I'm like, what? But I actually had made money. It wasn't a lot, but I wasn't bleeding my account. And that was kind of the game changer for me. And ever since then, I focused on the process, like just doing the right thing versus winner versus loser, and kind of shifting and adjusting on every single trade because of that.
Amazing. And I find that so fascinating how you were into track and field, then you became a coach, and then you were under someone that was a coach, but you didn't listen to them. And so I'm sure like you've learned a lot about the people that you're coaching from yourself going through that experience, and realizing what it's like to actually be under a mentor. Sometimes you're like, I'm going to work this out by myself. I definitely had moments like that, and I was wrong. Like you, I think we can both admit it,
I think that's the thing that attracts people to us, is it's like, hey, I'm not a financial guru or wizard or anything like that. I'm a normal dude that did a lot of dumb stuff, and I stopped doing dumb stuff. And so I tell them, look, I've probably done all the dumb stuff you're about to do. So like, you're still probably gonna do some of it, but at least let me tell you about it. So maybe you only do it once instead of multiple times. And I think that's the biggest thing. I think a lot of people see a normal person in myself and in my partner, instead of like a Wall Street genius or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I think it's the same with us as well. We don't walk around in suits. As you can see, I'm pretty much in my pajamas at the office. But yeah, just regular dudes having a good time with stuff that we're passionate about and getting shit done, right?
Yep, that's the goal.
So now's probably a good time to let you shield the shit out of what you do. Tell us about Tier 1 trading.
Well, I'm horrible, shameless promotion, but we teach traders. So we work with aspiring traders, whether they're new traders from the very beginning, just wanting to know what the market is, or whether they're veteran traders that are kind of stuck. There's an obstacle in their way, and they want to figure out, hey, what can I need to do to take it to the next level? I would say the best thing about what we do is just the community that we have. Is we're very cautious about doing this when we started Tier 1. We want to make it an open community environment where it's not just myself and the other coach, Jason Greystone, teaching you guys. You're working with a community of traders, some brand new, making the same dumb mistakes you are, some that have been on the platform for a while and are consistently profitable, that stay there and kind of help the other ones out. And, they're the reason that we've been so successful. Sure, we've got courses, we got live rooms, accountability sessions, Q&As, all the fun stuff to teach you what needs to be done. But I think it's really immersing yourself in an environment of success and kind of having that accountability, having that pressure where it's like, hey, it's not just on me, but Tony over there is going to check up on how I'm doing. If I don't give Tony some good news, I'm going to be on his shit list. And I think that's the value, is having everyone, instead of being selfish and pull you down or brag about this and that, everyone's trying to push you towards success. And that's the best thing about Tier 1 trading. The courses are good too, obviously. But that's the most powerful stuff is in our community, not just the teachers.
Man after my own heart. So we're also very similar. As a brokerage, we have our own Discord that our clients hang out in. We have our own mentors as well that teach clients how to trade across psychology, Elliott wave, indicator based, all different types of strategies. But that's where the magic happens, right? I'm sure you can probably agree that when you first get started out in trading, where do you go? You go to Forex forums back in the day. Well, now it's become a bit more live. People are on Twitter these days, but it's all about finding that community that you feel at home with. But just to touch point on how important community is for transparency for an educator. If you go on LinkedIn or Twitter, you see these guys posting their MT4 screenshots, so they're making all this money and follow my signals, blah, blah, blah. But there's no accountability behind it. When you go into a room of a community of people that are following a mentor, then you can actually go and ask them what they think. And you can't, unless you have like 100 people pretending to be under you, which is impossible to manage and no one would be that crazy to do, but hey, who knows? You get that transparency element that is so important. So I'm glad that we're cut of the same cloth.
Yep. It's funny how notice a lot of the, I guess we can consider us good guys. A lot of good guys are we follow the same type of views and passion. It's not just here's how much money I made, you can make the same. It's actually about treating people as humans and being passionate and helping people. That's big.
People over profits, right? And
yep.
Unfortunately, when there's money, it's usually the opposite. So we find in the industry, it's very easy to find people who are like-minded because you can just straight away see when you speak to them, versus the other side, which is also straight away easy to spot. They're usually wearing a suit. I shouldn't say that because there's old videos of me wearing a suit, but Hey.
Yeah, me too. A couple.
So what can you tell us about the actual strategy that you're teaching at the moment, without giving away too much of your trade secrets?
No secrets. Multiple strategies. I'm a price action trader, so there's multiple strategies that we teach on the platform. Mainly, our main goal is this, right? We do have specific strategies that we teach. The main goal is to give you all the tools so that you can create a strategy that best fits around what you want to do. So when we get traders on and we tell them go through the full courses, like 6 of them, but go through the whole thing at once or first, just as an overview to learn. And then once you kind of get a feel for what type of trader you want to be, now let's go through it again. And now let's work on finding out what you want to be. So we're looking, I think you need to learn how to read a price chart no matter what, whether you want to be a swing trader, day trader, counter trend trader, trend following trader, indicator trader, right? Those skills are going to be foundational. Once you figure out kind of what trader you want to be, and that's based off of preference, personality, lifestyle, now we can dig in and start finding out, hey, how can we fit either one of the strategies that we teach to your lifestyle and what you want to accomplish, or how can we help you build something using kind of the things that you like. So if you're not someone that believes in trend following, for example, you're not kind of a trend is your friend, ride it till it ends type of person, well, let's work on a counter trend strategy where you're in and out of the market, at those reversal points instead of kind of, buying and holding or something like that. So we're really working with these traders on trying to find what's the best fit and, working with them through the process of, the grueling process of strategy development and back testing and getting it just right.
Very cool. Have you trained anyone that's gone into like great success that is like your pin-up poster boy or girl for what you guys can do with someone?
Yeah, we had a few people years ago that actually started a hedge fund. Most recently, last year was a big year for us. COVID was, I guess, the perfect excuse. We had 3 traders on our platform that actually ended up getting funded by a prop firm. They did one of the, I think it was
like FTMO or
yeah, they did the challenges and whatnot because they were like, hey, I wanted to do this, but never had the time or the drive, and they were laid off or furloughed or working from home, and they're like, hey, I got nothing better to do, and they went after it, and a couple of them got funded, which was pretty cool. So last year was obviously horrible for the world, but it did open up opportunity, and people found a lot of time, and some people took great advantage of that time. So we were proud of that. Obviously, the credit goes to them. We never take credit for anyone's success, but it's cool at least that we played a small role in preparing them for what was ahead. And I think that's the biggest thing a lot of them said. They said, hey, when it came down to it, I had to switch up what I was doing a little bit to meet their guidelines and rules, but I was prepared on how to, in those situations, especially, it was really about managing risk more than everything else. So I think they had some really tight guidelines on how much they can risk. And they felt prepared for it, which is cool.
Very cool. I'm sure that you definitely did have something to do with them becoming successful. So pat yourself on the back. What kind of characteristics do you find? Is it like similar shared characteristics in the guys that end up doing really well?
Yeah, hardworking, dedicated. That's the biggest one. A lot of the ones are, I would call them the most annoying people I meet on the platform are usually the successful ones. And those are the ones that are just bothering you all the time with questions. Hey, what about this? Hey, look at this. Hey, what about that? Hey, how about this? How about that? And I was the same way when I was there. And we kid when we say they're bothering us, because that's what we want them to do, ask questions. And those people, the ones that, again, we have live rooms, the ones that are always there, the ones that you see every day for like a year straight. And it's like, dude, like, you're still here. Those are the ones that are sponging and becoming successful. I would say those, and it changes over time, but those that become not comfortable necessarily, but they become confident in sharing. We'll see a lot of traders that are like, hey, is this and the ones that we see become successful, and it changes over time. They're like, hey, I'm looking at this, and I'll be like, you know what, I don't actually see that. And I'm like, well, who cares, Akil? I do. And it's like, yes, they're confident in what they need to look at. Yep. They're not relying on anyone else's. They don't really, I don't want to say they don't care about others' opinions, but they know exactly what they need to look for.
Yeah. They trust their gut.
Yes, exactly. Yep. And we see them become successful.
And how about, has anyone ever come through and just like, I am refunding this person, there's just unfortunately no hope?
Oh yeah, yep. And I'm sure there's a lot more of that than we actually hear. We will hear from some people where there was a guy George. He was on the platform for about a year. He was very, very difficult. Myself, I found him difficult to work with. Some of the traders on the community found him difficult to work with too. He was just it was hard-headed, not necessarily a negative way, but like was just having trouble accepting the truth about the market. So, just use an example, like I want to win all the time. It's like, hey man, you're not going to win all the time. But they didn't want to accept that. It was very difficult. And, he sent us an email and he was like, hey, I appreciate your time. I learned a lot, but, I don't think your style is for me and I'm going to look for someone else. And I'm sure we get a lot of people like that. And many of them we won't even hear from. Many of them they'll leave and they'll be like, hey, I haven't seen him or her on the thing for a while and they're gone. So it happens. There's a high failure rate in this industry. The failure rate of the traders that come through at tier one is going to be less. I can tell you that than what else is out there. But a high failure rate is going to be present in this industry no matter what. And that's just the reality of it. Failure rate or kind of a stagnation type of rate, I should say.
Sure. Very cool. I like to ask this question of any of the traders or mentors that I interview, and it's, what do you suggest to someone that's either taken a really big loss or has like a string of heavy losses or even just a string of losses in a row, and they're just starting to feel like, at what point are you like, okay, my strategy is not working versus I got to keep pushing through this?
Well, if you ever just a girl I trade, a woman I've mentored for 3 years, just sent me a similar message yesterday or 2 days ago where, she's off to her worst start ever. And she's trying to figure out if she should quit or not. And the first thing you need to identify is when you're in that drawdown, is it a natural drawdown or a self-inflicted drawdown? And a natural one just means you're doing everything right. And, the markets just suck right now. A self-inflicted one is one where your results are poor because you're making mistakes. If it's the latter where you're making mistakes, obviously you got to go and fix those mistakes and get back on track. If it's natural, the first thing I do is you got to compare it to your historical results. You got to see, hey, this sucks. Is it out of the norm though? Meaning that, at some point historically, have I gone through a similar type of dip and obviously rebound from it in order to trade it? If so, you kind of just got to stomach it and keep grinding. If not, you got to do your review. You got to figure out, hey, is there something that can be fixed? Are these market conditions doing something different? Do I have to change my entry approach? Do I need to change my exits? Should I be taking more conservative targets? You really got to dig in and review every single trade and look for clues on, why things aren't working the way you thought they would. And try to make that fix. As you want to patiently make the fix. You don't want to be impulsive. You don't want to, if you have a bad week, you don't change anything in a bad week. I typically give it, it's going to sound I give it about 6 months. Whenever I make reviews, I take about a quarter. I do a big review every quarter. If I notice something during that quarter, I'll spend the next quarter kind of keeping an eye on it and tracking. If things turn around and it was nothing, if things continue to be poor, then at the end of that second quarter is where I can make some adjustments. So I'm very patient, but that's because I come from a history of system hopping and bailing as soon as like one trade goes bad. And
don't we all, right?
I just want to give myself enough time.
I wonder how many people just like stumble across the perfect mentor within a month of trading, who's become successful and have to go through the hard yards. Is that even a thing? I don't think so.
No. I'm jealous.
There's gotta be one guy,
man.
There's gotta be one guy or girl.
Oh.
But yeah, it shows how, how important it is to have a mentor helping you out, because these are the kind of questions that if you don't have someone there to guide you through, you get stuck so quickly and end up system hopping, which is something like, we both did. And I'm sure a lot of people watching this also started off like that as well. So yeah, mentors are important.
Yeah. It's, if not, you're blind. We're in a niche industry, and it's like, if you don't have anyone to talk to, or especially someone that has experience, the evil thoughts that will go through your head, there's just no guidance. You're out there in the middle of the ocean and it's just a panic. It's tough. I think you got to find someone, a friend, someone that you can discuss it with, hopefully someone that has more experience than you, so they can kind of calm you down and give you advice that they've been through.
This is the only reason I'm doing these interviews, is to make friends like yourself in my Rolodex. So when I'm having a crappy week trading,
guess what? I suck today too. Good.
Yeah. So I feel like there's from what I understand, there's people that like to watch these videos that are interested in kind of like making a YouTube or being content producers. I know I'm definitely interested in it. Clearly, I'm doing these videos now, and I think it's something that we're having a lot of fun. We've got a video guy in our team that's kind of like a one-stop shop. Lockie, if you're watching this, I know you're going to, because you're going to edit this. You're amazing. I love your work. Anyway, do you have any tips for people that want to grow their YouTube profile? I mean, I think you have like 40 or 50,000 subscribers now. How did you get to that point? Can you transfer some of them to me, please? What's going on? What can you tell us?
I will shout out what you're doing here. I will promo you. I'll definitely tell them to go subscribe. Again, I was, I don't know. I never had any plans of growing my YouTube, believe it or not. I just wanted, wanted to be honest. And first it was like a journal for myself. And obviously as I got into education, it grew. I think the best thing that you can do is have conversations like what we're having here, just honest conversations. Be different than the ad that probably came on the YouTube channel before this video showed, where you want me to show you how this $1 million strategy can make it. Be different. No one wants to hear that. People want to hear about the struggles. People they want someone that they can relate to. And I was fortunate enough to, my mentor had a good following, and as I started to find my own light, and a lot of his following came to me. I think what you're doing right here is perfect, where you're interviewing people, and hopefully each time you do and post one of these interviews, their followers will flock to you as well, as they see someone that shares the same mindset, because there's not many of us out there in the bigger scheme. And I think you need to connect, or people need to connect with people with similar mindsets, because they're all going to have experiences in slightly different ways. I'm going to bring something a little bit different to the table than what you're going to bring. You're going to bring something different to the table than what I'm going to bring. And just following back on the community we talked about earlier, I think if that trader out there that doesn't necessarily have that mentor, they can use channels like yours as that mentorship, or having multiple mentors by just hearing the words that you're saying, that the people you're interviewing are saying. So just keep grinding at it, keep reaching, every time you do an interview, keep doing what you're doing, and hopefully some of their following follows you, and they'll continue to grow over time. Again, I have no idea how I got to where I am. I just was consistent I was consistent with what I did, and I checked the numbers, and I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. But just keep at it, and just keep sending the right message.
Just keep grinding.
Yep.
Amazing. Well, we're definitely doing that. I think we're on the right track. Still like early days for us, but I don't know. I feel like unless you have haters, you're probably not doing it right. So we're definitely getting a lot of flack from other brokers from the content that we're putting out there, and ruffling up some feathers. They're not happy. The last CEO of a brokerage just emailed me saying my attack dogs can stay in the cages now. So I know, right?
Sheesh. I should think twice about recommending you, man. I don't want to be in the middle of that.
No, I need people like you on my side. So yeah. So how can people find you, Akil, if they want to reach out? I mean, if you guys are in touch with me on Discord, I'll definitely be able to introduce you for sure. But if someone wants to reach out and see more about what you're about, how can they find you? We'll put the link down the bottom of the video.
I'm on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, at Akil Stokes RTM. Not on WhatsApp. I'm not on Telegram. Something you need to be careful of. There's a lot of fake Akil accounts out there. So I'll tell you this: if anyone approaches you and tries to sell you something or say manage money, not me. It's not me. But follow me on social media. I'm on YouTube/Akil Stokes as well. My email, akil@tier1trading.com. If you ever have any questions, don't be shy about reaching out. I like talking trading. I'm a little bit of a nerd like you around this stuff. So I'm here to help people out.
Amazing. So Akil, thank you very much. I personally learned a lot. I would love to come and do some track and field with you. I hate exercise. But is any final words that you'd like to close off with?
No, I appreciate the interview. I'm glad we got a chance to do this. I love speaking with like-minded individuals. I always learn something, even though I'm the one being interviewed. I love it. This is part of my continued education. So these things help me grow. So I appreciate it.
Amazing. Well, I feel the same way. So if you want to do the reverse interview and interview me on any topic of your choosing, I'm more than happy to jump on the other side of the firing barrel.
There we go.
Amazing. Akil, thank you so much, guys. I hope you appreciated this beautiful interview with a beautiful man, Akil, over here with Tier 1 Trading. We'll put the links down the bottom of the video. So if you're interested, please reach out. And thank you very much for your time.